On a winter night, our story begins with a guy on a dinner date with the girl of his dreams, Ari, very eager to clap her cheeks tonight. Like most other men of culture, he can hardly focus on the face. After working up the courage to ask her to be his girlfriend, she revealed she had already committed to someone else for the past 5 years. His name is Yoshida, and he isn't getting any bitches tonight. Feeling dejected, he turned to his friend for consolation. He vented his frustration that Ari had not disclosed her relationship sooner. As the night grew late, his friend headed home, leaving Yoshida to wander back alone, simmering in disappointment with Ari. Strolling along, Yoshida noticed a lone girl sitting beneath a street lamp. Concerned for her safety out so late, he approached and inquired why she lingered there. She says that no more trains were running. Surprised, Yoshida asked if she planned to stay all night. The girl smiled and proposed staying at his place instead. Addressing him formally as Mr., he wonders what sort of girl would accept a stranger's lodging offer. She then confessed to having nowhere to go and no money for a room. Shocked by this, Yoshida wonders whether she expected free accommodation. To his astonishment, the girl offered to make love with him in return for shelter. Alarmed, Yoshida wondered if girls today were all like this or if she was the one with the screw loose. He declines, passing it off as an expensive joke. Even though bro wanted to clap some cheeks, his cheeks wouldn't be safe if he's caught and thrown in jail. The girl insisted Yoshida should let her stay gratis, never mind his messy apartment. Yoshida felt no obligation to humor her. He planned to eject her promptly the next morning. Retiring to bed, he left her to her own devices. Yet she began disrobing, asking if he wanted to grab some melons first. Yoshida refused, saying he's attracted to mature women only. Undeterred, the girl offered to serve him in any way. He sleepily said it would be nice if he could get a homemade miso soup and dozed off, leaving the girl alone with her thoughts. He wakes up in the morning with a bad headache from drinking yesterday, but gets shocked to see the teenage girl cooking in his kitchen with no recollection of the events that happened the night before, freaking out, fearing the FBI is already onto him. But she told him not to worry yet, as he was too much of a wuss to do anything. The high schooler then asks for his name, which he responds is Yoshida. She then insisted he slurps down some miso, even though her forwardness ticked Yoshida off. Yosh got to admit though, that soup did hit the spot. This girl then somehow knew about his dream girl Ari, asking if he'd have preferred Ari's cooking instead. Bro was shocked for a hot second before she revealed that this dude talks major game about Ari's bodaciously in his sleep. The high schooler then shot her shot, offering to help Yoshida blow off some steam if you catch my drift. But our Yoshida is too much of a Chad to fall for those FBI's entrapment schemes, saying he only likes mature women. Nevertheless, she begins disrobing, revealing she's not just some kid either. Stunned though, Yoshida got his priorities, saying Ari's still got her beat by at least 2 cups, although he wished he could have confirmed physically. But the girl's ready for all the smoke, saying something, "A single apple you got in your hand is better than a whole promised orchard, bro." Yoshida wondered if she had a crush on him, but the only thing she was crushing on was the possibility of that happening. Though she is curious why he wouldn't just have his way with her when the others she has met before did so in a heartbeat. Finally understanding, Yoshida grabs her and demands her real name. She mentions her name, which is Seiyu, and her student ID indicates her hometown is pretty far away. Yoshida asks when she left home, and she admits that it's been 6 months on the run. She insists her family is better off without her. Yoshida then asks her how she plans on surviving with any money or shelter, but it seems like she is planning to pull off the same spend the night with strangers she did with him. He tells her to get a job, but of course, it's not easy for a high school dropout to get a job that would pay the bills. So our Chad decides to take the mantle and let her stay at his place until she outgrows her phase. He also wants her to have a normal teenage love and life without putting every guy she's with on the FBI's watch list. Yoshida knows he can't let her be too comfortable there, so he clarifies that their arrangement isn't permanent. He decides making her do chores will provide her first job experience. He also made it crystal clear that any funny business or attempts to seduce him would mean immediate eviction. No smashing for hotel stays. Ms. Jailbait reluctantly agreed to the terms. At work, Yoshida gossips to his true bro about the event that happened, but he's concerned about one of the two of them catching feelings for the other. Returning home, Yoshida vows not to develop feelings for the little Miss Jailbait. Entering home, Seiyu announces, "Welcome home, Daddy." Say what now? Yoshida brought dinner since what they had wasn't enough anyway. He notices that she's actually really good at the housework. When stepping outside to go smoke, she wonders why he's doing so. It is pretty obvious that it's cause she's around. She calls him nice, saying the others won't have been that considerate. That's when he realizes how badly she has been treated and barely holds his anger. Then he tells her he isn't special at all, it's just she's just been dealing with scumbags, that's why her perspective is twisted. Yoshida knew he had to educate her, make her see she deserved better. But even as he preached, he reflected that the world is messy and nobody's perfect. I mean, look at him, an adult man enabling a teenage runaway. Not exactly a role model. Morning came and our odd couple fell into a routine. Seiyu wakes up first, but this time Yoshida notices that she is having a painful issue with her back. Later, he does his work thing while baby jailbait handled domestic duties. But soon Yoshida notices Seiyu rocking the same outfit every day. Our boy knew he had to step up and take her shopping for new clothes and a small mattress. Seiyu tries to refuse because she has no idea how she would pay him back, but Yoshida wonders what she has gone through for a child to be thinking like that. He manages to spin it around, claiming it's payment for the chores. That night, snuggled on her fancy new mattress, Seiyu was straight Cloud 9 vibes. Then she jokingly asks if Yoshida wants to join her between the sheets. But before bro could protest, she cracks up saying he's the one with the dirty mind, she just meant sleeping. That's when he tells her that her laughter is charming, which makes her so shy with red cheeks that can't reply to him. And later, she thanks him again for everything. The next day, Yoshida's friend gives him the deets about the office's recent gossip, and guess what? He is the subject of it because of the recent change in his appearance. Everyone thinks he has a girlfriend that takes care of him now, having no clue it's Lil Miss Jailbait high schooler. The following day, Seiyu asks why Yoshida doesn't shave his scruff. He explains he's too lazy, only tidying up when it gets unruly since it makes him feel old. Seiyu gives him the girlfriend treatment, telling him to shave it and get dressed. On their mall outing, Yoshida buys more things, including a moisturizer for Seiyu, and that's when he gets to know for the first time how expensive girls' stuff is. He wants to buy her a phone after she got rid of her own, but she refuses, saying she doesn't need it. She's happy with the moisturizer that has the orange smell that he loves and flashes a smile his way. But he still have this feeling that something is wrong about her smiles. Back from the mall, Yoshida plans to read his new books on weekends and offers Seiyu first dibs, but without spoilers. She looks kinda sad and almost asks something, but stops herself and says it's nothing. When he presses her to spill the tea, she starts fake laughing, but he realizes that and reminds her she can chill here. She approaches him and admits that she wants to ask why he is so kind, the kindest person she'd ever met. She'd stop acting strange if he wanted, and her fake smiles are a habit, but she'd do her best to stop. He assures her to take her time. Seiyu confesses no one has ever given her this much freedom or choice before, and wants to make him happy she came into his life. Yoshida chuckles and compliments her kindness, looking forward to her cooking some bomb meals. At work, Yoshida tells his colleague Yuzuha that her code is buggy and unsellable, so he explains they need to pull an all-nighter to fix it, while Ari is peeping at their convo. They grind on the project all night. Yoshida even grabs Yuzuha some food. She asks about his fresh shaves and beard trims, which makes him wonder what is this out of a sudden. She mentions rumors floating around that he got a new girl who takes care of him, having no clue how true the girl part is. He denies those rumors and admits that Eri recently gives him the "I like you as a friend" speech. Yuzuha offers encouraging words, but he declines pity. She says she genuinely feels lucky to be his friend and suggests sharing a drink sometime. When Yoshida gets home late, Seiyu expresses frustration for his tardiness despite having a meal prep. He apologizes for being late, but Seiyu just laughs it off, revealing she is only pulling his leg. Though he tells her not to mess with him, she finds it hilarious how formally he says sorry and suggests he eat the food tomorrow. He realizes he needs a way to hit her up if he is running behind. At the phone store, Yoshida's bro suggests asking Seiyu what color she wants, but Yoshida says Seiyu would have probably refused if asked, so he decides to just cop it without her input. His friend thinks that he must really like Seiyu since he is putting in so much effort on the phone design, but he explains that since Seiyu is a girl, she'd care about how the phone looks. His bro points out that this means Yoshida cares about her happiness and advises being careful with their interactions, so he warns that Seiyu might catch feelings or vice versa. But Yoshida assures it that is impossible because he prefers thick older women with big honkers, MILFs. His friend laughs and suggests playing it safe with a black or white phone then. At work, Yoshida seems restless and keeps checking the time, but his bro advises chilling out or they just end up working late. That's when Ari approaches and asks to talk another time. So, his friend jokes that when Ari rejects him again, that's when their relationship would really begin. Later that day, Yoshida enjoys dinner with Ari, finding it hard to look at her eyes again with these mega mommy milkers right under her face. Despite feeling nervous, he manages to build up the courage to speak, but ends up choking on his words, so Ari suggests they chill with a game taking turns asking truthful questions. So, Yoshida asks why she invited him out. In response, Ari asks if he is dating anyone, but he denies it. Ari calls Cap, pointing out that in the 5 years she'd known him, he is always tired and never dips from work till it's late, but lately, he'd been bouncing from work early, shaving his face and grooming himself. She then asks if he is getting close to Yuzuha, but our boy shuts that down quick. He confesses he works with Yuzuha, but only catches feelings for Ari. He tells her she has always been special to him, and he still feels the same way, and he questions why Ari even cares if he has a girlfriend when she friend zones him before. Turns out she is just bothered he moves on fast with a younger woman. But Yoshida assures her nothing is up with Yuzuha. Ari decides to throw Yoshida a bone by allowing him to ask one question, and she would answer it. Backed by all the men of culture before him, Yoshida decides to risk his job and asks for her milker's cup size. Her response, I for incredible, which is a cup size bigger than he even guessed. As Yoshida heads back later at night, he is convinced Ari isn't interested in him romantically. When he gets home, Seiyu notices he looks bummed and asks what is up. At first, he doesn't want to tell her, but eventually confesses he has dinner with Ari. Seiyu asks if it is fun, but he admits it isn't. So she offers him a hug which he accepts, admitting it makes him feel better. Seiyu then suggests he showers to wash off the negative vibes, and also because he reeks. At the bath, he feels ashamed seeking comfort from Seiyu. Later, as he sips miso soup, he pulls out a gift bag and presents it to Seiyu, and she instantly unwraps a new phone and is surprised he bought it. Yoshida admits it is so he can hit her up when she is out, and she wonders if she can really have it. But she notices the white case too and mentions she likes white. He is hyped she likes it, and they add each other's digits. Despite his bro's warning about catching feelings, Yoshida still believes he only sees Seiyu as a young girl he needs to look after, and of course he's only into MILFs. Though he is glad Seiyu is expressing herself more. Seiyu notes Yoshida is her only friend and gives him a warm smile. He ponders Seiyu's genuine smile and realizes he doesn't fully get teenagers. Meanwhile, Seiyu wakes up from a dream about her past sexcapades with randos and looks at Yoshida, wondering why he doesn't want to smash. Yoshida goes to work and sits with Yuzuha during the launch time. That's when a colleague approaches questioning why he declines a biz trip. The guy assumes it is because Yoshida has a girlfriend, and Yuzuha jumps in asking if Yoshida is really booed up. Yoshida is almost busted, but makes up a lie that he is expecting a package in 2 weeks. His bro leaves him alone, and Yuzuha kicks him for no reason. She feels like he deserves it somehow. Later, Yuzuha asks Yoshida to hit the movies together and doesn't even give him a time to reply. Though he initially doesn't want to, but once he sees Ari, he decides to use this to teach her a lesson for curving him. At home, Seiyu is doing her normal daily routine, but still can't stop these questions in her head. She is worried about how long she can chill with Yoshida, especially with him not wanting to clap. So she has nothing to offer in this case, other than the chores which don't even count. She knows when he gets a girlfriend, he'll likely kick her out like all the other men she crashed with before. She gets more worried that he'd want to shack up with his girlfriend. When Yoshida messages he is going to the movies with a colleague, Seiyu worries, wondering if it's a woman. After the flick called Fateful Encounters, Yoshida mentions a quote from the professor about how encounters only feel fated after they happen. Yuzuha engages in a deep philosophical convo with Yoshida, and at the end, Yoshida asks if she ever has a fated encounter. When she says yes, it gets hella awkward, and she suddenly bear hugs Yoshida out of nowhere. But There was someone watching this. It's Seiyu. She feels broken and runs off. Yoshida untangles himself from Yuzuha's grasp, wondering what is this out of sudden. She asks him what he would do if she is his fated person, but he dismisses that foolishness and tells her to head home. But once he walks back alone, Yoshida starts to wonder if meeting Seiyu is fate. Arriving home, he calls for Seiyu, but gets no response. Seeing her phone still there, he freaks out and runs to search for her, fearing she has run away or been kidnapped. Meanwhile, Seiyu was at the park alone, wondering why Yoshida was making that face with that woman that he never made with her. She tries to think that it's okay, but the fire in her heart takes control. She cries, realizing she is jealous of someone she doesn't even know. Just then, Yoshida's coworker Yuzuha finds Seiyu alone in this hour and kinda can tell what this teenage girl is going through, so she decides to chill until the last train and to deter any cop from approaching her. So, Yuzuha manages to have a heart-to-heart convo with Seiyu, as she as well did Runaway sometimes when she was her age. Though Seiyu says she has a good family relationship, but she doesn't believe in unconditional kindness, there's always a motive. Yuzuha agrees, sharing her thoughts, while Seiyu can tell that they are both talking about the same person. Then Yoshida appears, hardly taking his breath. He had been on the hunt for Seiyu, while she tries to apologize. Yuzuha jumps in asking if Seiyu is his daughter, half knowing the answer already. Not wanting to third wheel, she lets them bounce, but demands a full explanation on this later. Home again, Yoshida removes his suit as Seiyu, now dressed to send Yoshida to jail, confronts him. Though Yoshida wonders what is this and tells her to get fully dressed, but Seiyu refuses and tries to seduce him of her insecurity. When he tries to stop her, she explodes at him and keeps pushing with questions if she does attract him. Yoshida admits he is, but he still rejects her advances. Bro has been confessing he's only into MILFs since day one, but nobody believes him. Seiyu then confesses that she knows that taking in a teen girl is more risky than beneficial since he could get arrested if the feds found out, but she is definitely not helping his case with how she is dressed. Yoshida deduces her interpretation of an advantage was her body, and she confirms, admitting that it worked well with every guy she met. At first she hated it, but she grew to feel fulfilled by it. And when her services become a disadvantage, she'd get kicked out, back to square one. Seiyu then asks why Yoshida lets her stay without asking for anything besides chores. She says he is too nice, so to ease anxiety about him ditching her, she wants to pleasure him and asks to blow some steam with her. Instead, Yoshida embraces the broken girl tightly, to the level she says she can't breathe, and then gives a long, drawn-out compliment. He finishes by confessing he has no feelings for her and calmly states he doesn't want to clap someone he isn't in love with. After his speech, Yoshida has Seiyu get dressed. They sit together, and Yoshida admits she has been more helpful than she realizes. She made his cold days lively again, leaving Seiyu crying from his nice words. Yoshida offers for her to stay until she wants to bounce home, which Seiyu accepts. Internally, Yoshida thinks that's when they really start living together. On another day, Seiyu is on her knees to ask for Yoshida's permission to get a job. Nonchalantly, he agrees, surprising Seiyu with his quick okay, since she is supposed to just do chores. When asked if she has a place in mind, Seiyu says she is interested in the nearby store Comfort. Yoshida is hyped about her getting a job, cause staying like this all day isn't healthy for her, and he notes she might make some new friends her age too. On her first day, senior employee Asami Yuki shows Seiyu the ropes, and when Seiyu addresses her formally, she insists she just call her Asami. At dusk, they prep to dip, and Asami asks where Seiyu lives, and she replies with just 5 minutes away. Intrigued it is the same for her, Asami asks to see her place someday, but Seiyu refuses because her roomie might not want that. The convo escalates to Seiyu heavily implying she lives with a boyfriend, but she insists it isn't the case, and he is just like a brother. Despite this, Asami decides to visit and see this brother of Seiyu. At work, Yoshida gets a text from Seiyu about the sitch with Asami coming over, leaving him flabbergasted, but Yuzuha and Hashimoto find out about the text and talk about it, but this was in the earshot of Ari. That night, Yoshida arrives home and is immediately scoped by Asami, who rates him an old dude, but kinda hot. Asami introduces herself to Yoshida and opines he seems a decent fellow at least. Settled in the living room, Yoshida tells a fake story that he and Seiyu are childhood friends, but the 9-year gap makes Asami kinda suspicious, while Seiyu was washing dishes, eavesdropping, and chimes in with more details when needed. During the story, Yoshida almost slips the truth, but Seiyu announces dinner is ready and saves him. Impressed by the meal, Asami compliments it as so delicious and says that Yoshida is lucky to have Seiyu cook for him. After eating, Asami makes a note about how small Yoshida's room is, but he retorts it'll be bigger once she leaves. But Asami calls him as my homie, upsetting him, and making Seiyu laugh at their BFF banter. They both look like old friends. Deciding to bounce, Asami asks Yoshida to walk her home, which he begrudgingly agrees to. Seiyu tries to tag along, but Asami stops her, saying it is a man's job to escort a woman home. On their walk, Asami tells Yoshida to cut this obvious lie about their relationship and requires for the truth now. But this got him standing silent thinking for a while. Then he confirms that it was lie, but he doesn't mind the bro roll. He promises no more lies, but can't fully reveal Seiyu's truth yet, cause it's up to her, not him. Asami decides to accept it like that and gets to separate, but not before warning Yoshida about Seiyu's different smiles. Then she dips off, leaving Yoshida puzzled by her comment. At Yoshida's company, he is about to text Seiyu when who should reappear but Eri asks him out again. And of course, Yosh can't say no to another date with the incredible girl. Off they go, with Yuzua catching them in the act. At the same restaurant, Ari enjoys the meal, while Yoshida's still looking at his phone. That's when she tells him it's really good when it's his meat. Then, she questions his relationship with Yuzua again, and his reason for declining a biz trip. Before answering, Yoshida demands to know why Ari cares about his personal affairs and refuses to answer until she does. This gets Ari suddenly acting weird, and she hesitates for a while. Then she answers that it's because she likes him. Meanwhile, at home, Seiyu preps dinner, but is shocked to find Yoshida is dining with Ari again. She responds, "Roger, have fun," and laments the food she makes tastes so good too. It is revealed that Ari lied about that 5-year relationship, and when pressed by Yoshida, Ari details her intuition says to wait. However, Yoshida thinks she is bluffing and making fun of him. Ari denies that and asks what would prove it to him. So Yoshida decides to tease her a little and tells her that she would sleep with him if that's true. Then backtracks this, leaving Ari aghast. He says he is just bluffing, but Ari drops an unexpected bomb. She admits that she is still a virgin. In response, Yoshida begs forgiveness for his rude request and asks Ari not to lie about something like that. Bro's mind can't process that the incredible girl is still a virgin. Ari says it's true and confesses she really does have feelings for him and would do it if he wanted, but Yoshida admits he is just joking, and this causes an awkward silence between them. Yoshida says he'd never ask Ari out again, but tells her to ask him when the time is right. Ari understands and promises to ask him out someday. Changing topics, Ari still didn't ask the real question she came for. At home, Seiyu is eating dinner and noting how bomb it tastes, but she still wonders when will Yoshida be back, cause she feels lonely again. This triggers a flashback that causes mad anxiety and a hurl sesh. After she washes her face, Yoshida texts he is bringing Ari home, so Seiyu thinks she is getting kicked to the curb and texts him not to worry, she gonna stay somewhere else. But he clarifies that it's her who Ari is coming to meet, perplexing Seiyu. En route, Ari pushed Yoshida to spill everything about his sitch with Seiyu. Then she makes him wait outside the store till she buys some snacks. Once they reach home, she takes it from Yoshida and opens the door herself to greet the girl. At the crib, Ari introduces herself and offers Seiyu some convenience store munchies. With snacks on the table, Ari jokingly pushes Seiyu to drop the truth about their relationship. Relieved they aren't smashing, mad awkward silence follows when Ari is confused af by Seiyu's story. Yoshida reads the room and dips to use the bathroom. Ari suggests a solo girl talk with Seiyu, since she probs has questions wanna ask, and Seiyu agrees. Yoshida re-enters, but Seiyu asks him to grab some ingredients from the store, appearing discouraged. Seiyu takes a deep breath and faces a smiling Ari sitting quietly as Yoshida obliviously heads out. Ari asks Seiyu about her backstory and other info, and later she drops the bomb question of how long she will stay with Yoshida. Meanwhile, Yoshida runs into Yuzua on the streets, which is weird enough, so she says she took a detour from the train and ended up here. Yuzua wonders why Yoshida is out so late, so he says it is to grab breakfast stuff since Seiyu requests it. Learning Seiyu is also at his crib, Yuzua requests to tag along on the shopping trip. Back at the apartment, Seiyu gives no answer to Ari's question. Ari says how special teenage girls are and elaborates on why, which gives Seiyu a courage to share with her how for 6 months she had run from her problems, but deep down wanted someone to tell her not to run. Seiyu tells her story of running away and staying with various men, who she offered her body to stay with them before Yoshida takes her in and sets her straight. Hearing this, Ari was shocked at first, then she chuckles at Yoshida's part and says she is glad Seiyu finds a safe place. However, she advises Seiyu that the sitch should be temporary, since Yoshida has his own life. Reflecting on the past, Seiyu confesses she doesn't want to go back to all that, but she knows she can't do this forever and will eventually confront her past, for her sake and Yoshida's. Ari then embraces Seiyu and hypes up her courage, which makes her break finally as she lets down some of the weight on her shoulder. Meanwhile, Yoshida tries to shake Yuzua, but she asks to crash at his place tonight. He flat out refuses, leading to a spat about her staying over, and things escalate when she says, "What if it was Ari who asked to sleep over?" Hesitant to answer, Yuzua calls him out for having Ari over at his place right now, and spills how she deduces it by stalking him that night. She apologizes for the weirdness, but Yoshida isn't tripped up. Back at Yoshida's crib, Seiyu finally got to ask Ari if she loves Yoshida. Ari giggles at the question and asks if that's all what Seiyu wants to know, but Seiyu says it's a major. Ari responds she does love Yoshida and no other, since he joined the company she has been crushing hard. This makes Seiyu happy since Yoshida can get the chick he wants. Sitting outside the store, they buy snacks. Yuzua confesses she thought Yoshida brought Ari home to smash while Seiyu was out. Yoshida denies that is the case, but she asks if he still loves Ari, to which he says yes. Yuzua claims what he's doing is illogical then, with his crush at his crib in this sitch. He literally should be clapping some cheeks. But Yoshida says there is technically nothing he can do. But she argues the two chicks couldn't compare. So he asks if she's suggesting he kicks Seiyu out, which she denies. Yuzua asks what Yoshida's priority is. She says if he dates Ari, he'd have to hide Seiyu. But Yoshida argues that still means kicking her out. After temporarily losing her cool, Yuzua asks if Yoshida's love for Ari is legit, or just a mix of admiration. Again, Yoshida denies that, but she calls him a too nice guy, saying he'd never get laid with that virgin mentality. Yuzua decides it is time for her to dip before she says something she would regret, apologizing for keeping him, then she dips. Finally getting home, Yoshida walks in on Ari doing Seiyu's makeup. He uncomfortably compliments Seiyu's new look with makeup, which makes Ari and Seiyu to playfully criticize Yoshida's half-hearted props. Later, Yoshida walks Ari home, and they talk about Seiyu. Ari warns him not to pull any funny biz with Seiyu since she is on her hotline now and the feds are on speed dial. He reassures her he'd never do anything like that. Before leaving, Ari warns that Seiyu is unstable and would one day unleash emotions on him. But she's confident he can handle it, since at work he is known as the problem solver. Elsewhere at the night shift of the store, Asami talks with a coworker about the new hand working there. The next day, Seiyu spots Kayouya Yaguchi on the schedule, a name that looks familiar to her. Right on cue, the dude walks in shortly after, but Seiyu remembers him. It's one of the guys that she stayed at his place before. Kayouya is clearly thrilled to reunite with Seiyu after all this time, but the girl tries to play it ice cold, pretending she doesn't even know him. The guy boastfully claims he never ever fails to remember someone he clapped before. Seiyu is about to break, but hardly says that he has mistaken her for someone else. That's when Asami waltzes in mid-cringe and catches their suspicious vibes right quick. She shows Kayouya the door without hesitation. Bye boy. With him out of the pic, Seiyu is still trembling in her words, but she tries to calm Seiyu down, saying she doesn't want to know anything. When the shift ends, Seiyu makes tracks, praying that mess of a sitch was her last run-in with Mans. But the universe can be cruel sometimes. Kayouya rolls up on her walk home. He asks how she's been since their little hangout sesh. Seiyu tries to make a quick getaway, but he grabs her and suggests finishing the chat at her place. Or he dishes all the hot goss to Asami about their supposed lovely nights. He just won't ease up with the attempts at manipulation. Spooked by his threats, Seiyu asks if he'll peace out before the apartment owner gets back. He reassures he'll dip quick, he just wants to chat. Still sketch, Seiyu texts Yoshida that she's gonna have a visitor home, and he would be leaving before he comes back, so no worries. Up in the crib, the guy compliments how tidy it is, and Seiyu confirms she keeps it so fresh and clean. The guy asks point blank about her supposed relations in air quote with Yoshida. Seiyu shuts it down. She hasn't done diddly with Yoshida in the 2 months. She's been crashing there, Yoshida being better than a human trash like him. He quickly gets aggressive trying to get handsy with Seiyu, and doesn't stop till she whacks him a good one, but it just amps him up more. Annoyed she's changed, he tackles Seiyu down as she fights back, but he doesn't want to stop till he has a taste and promises to be gentle. While she is still fighting back, pacing, she asks herself why she let someone like this here. She remembers that he will tell everyone, the cops will find out, and this will harm the only person who looks at her as his daughter. So she suddenly stops fighting back and tells him to go ahead. Just be done with it. Just then, Yoshida kicks the front door open wild-eyed. He sees Kayouya on top of Seiyu and confirms with Seiyu what's happening. Then he kicks the trash out and asks if he knows what he's about to do to him. Kayouya then spills the tea. A few months back, Seiyu shacks up at his place for a bit and tells him that he's no different from him. He then claims Yoshida's gotta take responsibility for Seiyu despite the risks. In Yoshida's head, he reflects on his morals for taking Seiyu in. He claps back that he aims to teach her right from wrong himself. Kayouya ain't impressed by Yoshida's noble speech. As he tries to bounce, Yoshida makes him swear to keep his distance from Seiyu, or he wouldn't mind to have a record next time. After Kayouya leaves, he leans his back to the wall, thinking what would have happened to the girl if he had not come in time. Back at the apartment, Yoshida and Seiyu have a heart-to-heart about her past and well-being. When Seiyu asks why he helps her out, Yoshida says he wants her to experience a normal teen life. This brings Seiyu to tears. She thanks Yoshida sincerely for everything he does.